Hey, it's Elisa, the Half Asian Tarot Queen, and I'm doing a reading for the new moon on May 22nd, which is coming right up, but also I think we're going to have, the next new moon after that is going to be an eclipse. So, we're headed into eclipse season. We're not quite there yet, but it should be interesting. I also want to let you know that I'm planning on doing a giveaway for the last week of May, and I think I'm going to try to tighten things up because I did one last month and there were some bugs and issues with it. So I'm going to tighten things up a little bit to try and encourage it to work a little bit better, but also, the whole point of doing the giveaways is I'm trying to build community on this channel around wellness. I'm not aspiring with this channel to be a tarot reader, but more to build community around wellness. So this next giveaway is going to be the Starseed Oracle, which I'm really loving this deck, and I'll be posting that announcement probably around the same time that I post this video, and it'll be on the main page of the channel if you're interested in participating in that giveaway. The chances of winning are pretty high around here because, like I said, I'm not aspiring to be a tarot reader. I'm just aspiring to build community, and as of now, the community that I have is pretty intimate, we'll say. Okay, one sec. Okay, I'm also going to pull one card from this Wild Offering Oracle, which I've been really getting into lately. Because I feel like the messages have been super positive in this. So I'm going to pull one from here also. Oh, maybe two. Okay. Oh, it's funny because it really goes with the other cards. Okay, so from the Mystical Shaman, we got Pachamama, and then we got the Staff. So this is interesting because Pachamama she's like Gaia, and so this is kind of calling you to have like respect for the Mother Earth and all the plants and animals and beings, that inhabit the earth, but also it talks about having respect for your experience as like an infinite soul in a human body, having respect for your physical experience here on earth. And beyond having respect for all creatures and everything, in the world, but also just for yourself and your experience and caring for yourself and nurturing yourself and, eating good food and living your life and enjoying, each moment, to its fullest capacity, And then we have the staff, which the staff can be like a symbol of authority, but it's also just sort of like, it's almost like a divining rod, and it's like, you can harness the power of the universe, through this rod. It's like Moses used the staff to like part the Red Seas, by like channeling the power of the divine, but also, finding this middle way, like not abusing your authority, like having reverence for the power of the divine. So it's just sort of like, it's almost like the way I'd interpret this combination is like, it's like you're gonna be harnessing this like divine power, but don't get carried away. Like, have reverence for yourself and for all beings and stay grounded and stay down to earth, It's like, have respect for the power that you're channeling. And then we have It's so interesting because these cards really go together well. We have body, which says, show me, divine, how to love fully and care for this body. Please give me the radiant miracle of accepting my body as it is. And then we have compassion. As you pray each day for greater compassion, a new self is born, drawing new people and experiences. Dear Lord, please help me feel ever-deepening self-acceptance. May I see myself as you see me. So, you know, I think this is like, it's almost like this message of healing and a message of acceptance of yourself as like a human, you know, in a human body, you know, even though you're like this infinite soul, you can tap into this infinite power, like have compassion for yourself and your experience here as a human on earth, you know. Okay, so I just did a lot of this reading and it wasn't recording, and I'm like realizing that now, but okay. So anyways, what I was gonna say is what's interesting about these cards is that these are really like analogous messages. I mean, they're almost the same message from two different decks, both of them. And what's even wilder is that they kind of fell out in the same orientation, you know? And so it's like a double message. And so I think how I'm taking that is, you know, with this new moon, it's like we've all kind of disengaged and we've all kind of like had to look inward because of the quarantine and the pandemic, and, you know, everyone's had to like take a step back, you know, and the whole thing is, you know, we need to look at how we're engaging, recalibrate, you know, as we re-engage, because we're all starting to re-engage now. But like what this message is all about, like honoring the earth and looking at how we're doing that and having reverence for this power, you know, that we're being given, that we're, you know, that's coming to us through this staff, you know, like, I mean, it's like if you just boil it down to like this simplest essence, you know, I mean, it's like even the roots of the whole coronavirus pandemic, you know, they believe it came from like a wild boar that was sold at this market, and then it spread because it was a really crowded market, you know. So like it was like the abuse of the earth and its resources that's like at the core of this whole pandemic. Like that's this lesson that we need to learn, you know, and we need to re-engage with more compassion for the earth and all of its resources, but also for ourselves, you know. It's like, I think this is happening like at a global level, but also at an individual level, you know, with each of us, you know. I mean, for me personally, it's like if you've been following my story, you know, I'm a vegan cheesemaker, and for me, it's like when you do something and it starts to be successful, then like all of a sudden you attract like all of this, like everyone's trying to sell you the Brooklyn Bridge, right? And so it's just sort of like, for me, like I need to distill it down to like, I don't need the Brooklyn Bridge. Like I don't want to buy a bridge. Like I'm not in the market for a bridge, you know? But like at the same time, a lot of people are trying to sell me a bridge. And so I need to distill it down to the simple essence that like I make cheese. Like that's what I do, you know, and that's my gift. And like leave it at that, you know, and don't be worrying about bridge real estate, you know, because that's just a distraction. This is my mom in the background. Okay, so I went to the Radiant Wise Spirit Tarot to get some general energies for this reading, and I got, so at the bottom, the Four of Wands, which this is basically, this is like a new foundation. Like we all are re-engaging the world and on a new foundation, you know, and this is actually a stable, solid foundation. It's like marriage, family, stability, and you know, I think the world as we knew it, you know, it doesn't exist anymore. And so in order to thrive going forward, we're going to have to re-engage the world on a more solid foundation. You know, we have to have more reverence for the earth and more reverence for ourselves, and more reverence for what's actually sustainable, you know. So then we have the Four of Cups, Judgment, and we have the Two of Wands. So basically, I mean, this is kind of a card really of taking things for granted. You know, it's like there's this cup of love that's being offered here. There's 3 cups in front, but this person is like not focused on that at all. They're distracted. They've got their arms crossed. They're just like, I don't want that, you know, and they're just taking it for granted, you know. But what the next card we have is Judgment, you know. So this is like a reckoning. It's just like you don't get to do that anymore. Like, there's a judgment call that's happening now. There's karma is happening. And you don't get to just like take life for granted, you know. You need to like look inward, figure out what's important, and that's what needs to be brought forward, you know, on a new, more solid, more sustainable foundation, you know. And then the next card we have is the Two of Wands, where it's like you're holding the world in the palm of your hands, but it's like a fork in the road. You've got to go one way or the other. Like, you need to commit to how you're moving forward. Like, you don't get to take things for granted anymore. You got to figure out what's important to you, and then you got to make a call, you know. And that's what's going down, you know. So then I went to this new deck, the Muse Tarot, to get some general energies. And I got the Hierophant, the Three of Emotion, and the Two of Voices. So it's just sort of like the Hierophant. This is a card of like commitment, you know. It's just sort of like institutional, you know, like you're making a commitment. It's, you know, it's like a deep commitment, like you're engaging, you know, your spiritual aspect, you know. And it's just, and then we have the Three of Cups, which is, this is a card of like reunion, you know. It's like you're coming back into harmony with yourself, you know. And then we have the Two of Voices. So this is a card of sort of dissonance, you know, like a stalemate, like you're stuck, you're not really sure which direction to go. And it's interesting that that fell right under this card, which is the Two of Wands, which is the opposite of that, where it's just like you're making a call and you're going forward in one direction or the other, you know. So it's just sort of like you got to stop taking things for granted, you know, get spiritual with yourself, and like make a call, you know, reunite with your own path, and stop being stuck, you know. You got to make a commitment, you know. And then we have the Knight of Inspiration, the Hermit, and the Seven of Emotions. So this is really interesting because the Knight of Inspiration, this can also often be like this Don Juan character, you know. He's like really popular with the ladies, and he comes in all fiery and passionate, you know. And it's interesting that he came out right under the Hierophant, which is like this card of commitment, you know, and under this Four of Cups, because there's been this recurring theme, and there's a whole thread about this character, this Knight of Wands character called Players, where it's like he's kind of got sick of playing the field, and he actually wants to settle down, you know, which is funny because, you know, that's kind of what these 3 cards speak to, you know. It's like he's been taking all this love for granted, but like he's actually making a call. Like maybe he's finally decided like what direction he wants to go. And so it's interesting because the next pile we have is the Judgment, and we have this reunion, and we have the Hermit, you know, which this kind of speaks with getting back in sync with your own self, because the Hermit goes on like a spiritual quest and comes into alignment with their, you know, with their highest good, you know? So it's like there's a reunion with that that's happening with this reckoning. And then we have the Seven of Emotions. But this is a card of confusion and having lots of options. And we, you know, and that fell out right under this Two of Voices, this dissonance, this like stalemate, you know, that's kind of like being broken through. Like we're making a call here. Like, you know, I think like part of what's happened, you know, is that we've all gotten so busy and so distracted with all the different options of what's out there. And like now things have gotten so difficult that we have to bring things back into focus, and we have to cut all the slop out of the system, and we have to like distill things down to like what's important, you know. And that's going to be different for everyone, but we need to have respect and honor for ourselves and for the earth, you know, and for what's important. And that's how we need to move forward. And that's kind of what this moon is about. Like we're building a new foundation around that, you know. So I'm going to, a new foundation. I'm going to pull 3 cards from Radiant Wise to get some guidance about how we're going to move through this energy. But it's actually, you know, I think a good thing, you know. It's just like after everyone got over the shock of what all's going down, I've been really inspired, you know. I mean, not obviously everyone is responding in the same way to this crisis, but it brings out the best and the worst in people, and it's really inspiring to see people take it and use it as an inspiration for a movement forward that's really positive, you know. Oh my gosh, that's so crazy. Okay, so at the bottom we have the King of Wands, and then we have the Queen of Wands. So this is a couple, you know, and what's interesting is this is like a passionate, fiery couple, and these are manifestors. These are people who they're the masters of their emotion, and they figured out how to channel their emotion and manifest it in the 3-dimensional world. Like they are in command of their power, you know. So, but this is like also a divine couple, you know. These two are meant to be together. And it's also interesting because the Queen of Wands fell right on top of this Knight of Wands. So it's almost like this Knight of Wands, it's so crazy. This Knight of Wands, because I was talking about how he is sick of playing the field, and he is sick of taking things for granted, and like maybe he wanted to settle down. And what's funny is that the King and Queen of Wands like fell out right on top of him, like almost like this maturity. Like he's like, all right, like I am gonna settle down, you know. And then on top of this Judgment, where it's like someone's like looking inward, you know, and they're coming back in touch with themselves and what's important to them. And we have this Knight of Swords, which is this message of truth or clarity that's coming in fast, you know. And then it's like having to make a call, you know, about this dissonance and confusion, and like bring this into focus, distill it down to what's important, and move forward. And then we have the Page of Wands on top of that, which is this is a new inspiration, a new spark, you know. It's like we're not going to waste time like going in 20 different directions anymore. We're like, we bring it into focus. We're going to move forward with focused intention, you know, with respect for ourselves, with respect for the earth, with respect for what's possible. Like we're re-engaging in a more functional way, you know. So I'm going to the Moonology Oracle because it is a new moon, and see what we get from that to close out the reading. But this is really good, you know. I mean, right. Oh my gosh, this was at the bottom, and I was like, I'll just throw it back in, and it came out again. A time for healing. So yeah, we've got to like bring things back to the simple, you know, and like give ourselves the time and the space to heal. Okay, and then I'm going to pull from Queen of the Moon Oracle to finish out this reading. I also want to remind you to check back because I am going to be doing a giveaway for the last week of May. I want to start building community around this. I have some certain intentions about this channel because I want it to be part of a larger wellness platform that I'm building. That's kind of the intention that I have around it. So I'll be speaking to that in the video about the contest, which shall be released around the same time or around the time of the new moon. So check back on that. Oops, I guess there's three cards that came out. Oh my gosh. Okay, this is really fitting. So we got darkness. We got action. And we got faith. Oh my gosh, that's so beautiful and so perfect. Because it's like we're at this, darkness is the new moon, right? And so we're kind of at this void, you know, where it's just like, all right, life as we know it has been destroyed, you know, and we've all kind of taken this moment to like recalibrate around what's important to us and what we want to bring forward. And now we're all starting to re-engage. We're going back to work, you know, we're starting to, and we're starting to tip our little baby toe in the pool, you know, and it's time to take action, you know. So we've thought about it, we've recalibrated, and now it's time to move forward, you know, and there's going to be difficult times ahead, and we all know that, you know, and so we have to keep the faith, you know. So keep the faith, because we are healing. We are healing the earth and we're healing ourselves, and this is all happening for a reason. So remember that when you get discouraged, because this is a really difficult moment, you know, but we've got what it takes to move through it. So good luck with that, and we'll check in soon.